All right, everyone. Once more, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in this vast world it is that you may or may not happen to be. Welcome once more to another live stream of IRL News Time Live. I'm also simulcasting on a couple other channels today. If you're interested in participating in the chat, you do need to be a subscriber to IRL News Time and logged in to the IRL News Time YouTube channel. I'm your hostess, Alexandra, and this is going to be a fairly educational live stream. I will not be appearing on video in this live stream, but we are going to go over some information that was pointed out to me by a live streamer known as Brandon Q92. I would encourage many of you to subscribe to him for further details in regards to the gist of what I'm covering. Today, we're going to talk about how parents who live stream and accept donations from suspected or known predators could lose their children to CPS or DCF, in other words, Child Protective Services or the Department of Children and Families. We're also going to talk about how such parents could theoretically face extensive legal consequences. So here's a chart in regards to what we will discuss today. Parental live streaming and predator donations, risks of CPS removal, and legal consequences. I would suggest many of you screen cap what you currently see on your screen for your own future reference. So let's go ahead and get into this particular live stream. I'm going to present to some of you some material, specifically from the ChatGPT AI. It's a question that I asked. It did give me some accurate information in return. Here we go. So here's the question that I asked the ChatGPT AI. What, if any, are the legalities in the state of Nevada for a parent of a minor age child accepting financial donations or compensation from someone who they either suspect of or know of being a child predator or pedophile? Those of you who are subscribers to the IRL News Time channel, you know that as of earlier today, it was brought to light that an individual who has been known for several years as being a quote-unquote pedophile hunter, it was revealed that he did indeed lie in regards to someone who is on the fringes of the communities that I've had the blessing of covering over the past few years, known as Zaya, aka Victor De Leon of Ease the Crave. This particular individual irresponsibly did indeed label Zaya as a pedophile, whereas in actuality, he is technically an ephebophile and or a teen groomer. In addition, the same person who mislabeled Zaya as a pedophile, somebody known as Ganville, also has been labeling another individual known as Brandon Q as a pedophile, whereas technically he is not a pedophile. He may not even be an ephebophile or a hebophile. Time will tell. But let me go ahead and show all of you what I'm referring to. As you can see, Ganville did backpedal earlier today. I did make an official video statement about the situation. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this material. And there is a specific female live streamer who is also a mother, who Brandon Q specifically pointed out this situation to me in regards to. In other words, this particular female live streamer, who is the mother of a minor-aged female child, stating to Brandon that she believes him to be a pedophile, but she will take his money. In addition, this same live streamer has stated that because I have chosen to compensate Brandon Q for an appearance on an upcoming live stream, and I tend to compensate my guests who do appear on my live streams, she felt that I was funding him to harm her and her daughter. Because of this situation, she has essentially labeled me as well a predator, whereas I am not. But legally, due to the situation, I will never donate to this particular woman again, because it's not a good idea for me to do so legally, and it's also not a good idea for her to accept donations from people that she even suspects as being predators or pedophiles or hebephiles or ephebophiles. Responsible parents do not accept donations from anyone that they feel may be a danger to their child. Considering that for quite some time now, Ganville has labeled Zaya of Ease the Crave, along with his associates, as pedophiles. Another woman within these communities, who Zaya has indeed maliciously targeted, any donations that she were to ever receive from Zaya, which I doubt she would receive any from Zaya, but even his associates, could be deemed as a reason to investigate her, meaning through Child Protective Services or the Department of Children and Families. I want to make it clear to all of the women who are mothers of minor-aged children within these communities, if you accept donations or financial compensation from anyone within these communities who has been labeled a proven or suspected child predator, you are opening the door wide to investigation from Child Protective Services or the Department of Children and Families. What we're going to go over today is specific to the state of Nevada, but the laws in regards to this particular element do not differ very much from state to state within the United States of America. So again, the question that I asked the AI is, what, if any, are the legalities in the state of Nevada for a parent of a minor-aged child accepting financial donations or compensation from someone who they either suspect of or know of being a child predator or pedophile? Now, the woman in question, who Brandon Q pointed out to me, did a live stream to where towards the end, she specifically did label Brandon to be a predator, but then she strangely, and if I hadn't heard it for myself, I wouldn't believe it, she strangely continued to tell him to pay her, pay her, pay her. None of that makes any sense. It actually points toward this particular woman likely needing to seek out a professional therapist, psychologist, or psychiatrist. So here's the answer that the AI provided. In Nevada, There is no law that specifically states a parent cannot accept money from a suspected pedophile. The legality depends heavily on what the money is for, what the parent knows, and whether the child is being exposed, exploited, groomed, or endangered as part of the arrangement. The key words that I would say Brandon Q and many other live streamers within these communities who may have made the mistake of donating to some of these mothers within these communities who are under the impression that they can weaponize the label of pedophile upon their donators when either they don't get the amounts of money that they want, which is a form of blackmail or extortion, or when perhaps it's easier to toe the company line and join in hate bonding and labeling someone a pedophile or something along those lines. But exposed, exploited, and endangered. Keep those three terms in mind. Grooming also, but specifically exposed, exploited, or endangered. A few major Nevada laws become relevant very quickly in that situation. Number one, Nevada's contributing to the delinquency of a minor, statute NRS 201.110. Number two, Nevada child abuse or endangerment laws. Number three, potential federal and state child exploitation laws if sexual intent or access to the child is involved. Under Nevada law, a person can commit contributory delinquency if their actions cause or tend to cause or encourage a minor to become neglected, delinquent, or endangered. Now, the key word here when it comes to the legal system would be the word endangered. If you are a parent and you are a part of a community to where rumors are circulating left and right that someone may be a child predator or pedophile, you do not accept money from them unless you're looking for someone to open up a CPS or DCF case against you. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. That statute is intentionally broad. Courts and prosecutors can look at the conduct, such as knowingly exposing a child to dangerous adults. Let's pause there. There is a reason as to why these communities do have a certain reputation when it comes to the types of people who are live streamers. There have been many people who have been a part of these communities and observers of these communities who have routinely said, this is not an environment for children. However, you do have some female live streamers who are mothers who are hell-bent, and I mean hell-bent, on consistently showing their children and including their children in their live streams that are a part of the IRL live streaming communities. I do believe that there is a way for a woman to segue from these communities into the more family-friendly sector. But unfortunately, it's becoming increasingly apparent that you can't straddle the fence. I have been a proponent for over a year now of feeling that a certain woman who Brandon Q has outlined on his live stream as of today has broken through some barriers, and I still stand by that. and may have found a way to responsibly stream. But considering that when it comes to this particular woman in question, considering the donations I gave to her, in conjunction with what she had to say about me recently, meaning that from her perspective, she felt that I was potentially endangering her and her child, I don't think that these communities are for her. My YouTube channels are definitely not for her. My presence in her life is definitely not for her. And I've come to the conclusion as today that I will never connect with another woman who is a mother who chooses to live stream. I'm not saying that all mothers who choose to live stream their children in conjunction with themselves have negative agendas. But what I am saying is that I've reached my limit. And I have a feeling that there are other people in these communities who have reached their limit as well. Now, if this is a stream that you do not concur with, do not participate in the chat. Do not attempt to contact or communicate with me. It's that easy. But let's continue. So that statute is intentionally broad. Let's go back to the statute. Okay, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, NRS 201.110. Courts and prosecutors can look at conduct such as knowingly exposing a child to dangerous adults. Now, if you're a female live streamer within these communities with a child and your child has ever been around other live streamers who have engaged in what may be seen as illegal, criminal, or dangerous activity, unfortunately, the courts could get you for point number one. Facilitating inappropriate contact, allowing grooming behavior, permitting sexualized interactions, or accepting money in exchange for access to the child. Now, unfortunately, there is a lot of evidence, not only in regards to the woman who Brandon Q has pointed out as of today, but in regards to some other women in these communities who are not only participating in the communities themselves, but they are allowing their minor age children in their care to say hello to the streamers, video chat with them, text chat with them. All of that is something that could open the gateway for CPS to enter your life. If a parent knowingly allows contact because money is being provided, prosecutors could argue the parent is enabling exploitation or neglect, especially if there are warning signs. The warning signs language here is important. If you are a parent and you are accepting donations from someone who has a multitude of clips out there to where the clips depict them, be it factual, true, or not, of that donator potentially being a predator to minors, someone could easily pick up the phone and report you. Just letting you know. A critical distinction. Merely accepting a donation from someone who gives money without involving the child or exposing the child to risk is not automatically illegal. But if the person suspects the person is seeking access to the child for sexual purposes and still facilitates contact, communication, images, meetings, trips, gifts, or dependency, the legal risk increases dramatically. The key words here are if the parent suspects the person. Sometimes I think parents have low impulse control, especially in the cases of women who are parents within these communities. And they tend to say things on their live streams that are clipped that could easily be admitted as court admissible evidence when it comes to them knowingly suspecting their donators of being predators. Again, that opens the door to CPS. Examples that could create criminal exposure: accepting money in exchange for private access to the child, allowing unsupervised meetings despite credible concerns, permitting sexually suggestive photography or online interactions, allowing the child to communicate privately with the adult for financial benefit, coaching the child to maintain the relationship, ignoring obvious grooming behavior. I've heard stories of female streamers who are mothers having their children write thank you notes or making video messages to the donators. Unfortunately, that could be seen as coaching the child to maintain a relationship with the donator. Now, if there's anyone out there who has publicized that they believe that donator to be a predator, and they have notified that parent who has accepted those donations, if that parent doesn't cut off that financial exchange, whoever notified them could easily have justifiable grounds to contact DCF or CPS in regards to that parent. Just saying. At that point, authorities could investigate for child endangerment. And that's the key right there, the child endangerment. I think a lot of times when people think about child endangerment, they think, oh, you shouldn't leave a kid at home alone because they could turn on the stove and burn their hand. Or, maybe a parent not hiring a babysitter while they go to work or doing whatever, the parent needs to do outside the house where the kid can't be there. But nowadays, child endangerment can include just sitting in your bedroom as a parent, closing the door, talking about your child on your live stream while your child is in earshot outside of your room, or talking about things that could potentially bait or attract child predators to your location. There's a lot of things that can be considered child endangerment nowadays. But let's continue. They could also investigate for contributory delinquency, neglect, exploitation. The neglect and exploitation elements are two big ones because you got people clipping left and right. And when a kid is a minor, they can't exactly consent to being streamed. So if a parent is involved in a controversial situation that includes the child, and then that child is clipped in that situation, and then that clip is copied and posted on a multitude of YouTube channels, if someone feels that that clip could be detrimental to the child, they have grounds to contact authorities. Trafficking-related offenses or conspiracy/aiding and abetting theories, depending on the facts. Nevada also defines child abuse or neglect broadly enough to include exploitation and negligent treatment that harms a child's welfare. One important practical reality: prosecutors and CPS often focus less on whether the adult donor has actually been convicted of a sex crime, and more on what the parent reasonably knew, whether warning signs existed, and whether the parent prioritized money over the child's safety. That last point being the most important. But in other words, what CPS and prosecutors focus more so on in this kind of situation that I'm outlining, it's not the alleged predator. They're going to look at the parent and they're going to say to the parent, what in the hell are you doing? Why are you prioritizing social media, your online interactions, above and beyond the safety of your child, especially if you are going to proceed to live stream yourself, claiming that so and so is a child predator, but then you proceed to request said predator to donate to you, to pay you. That is where legalities are going now. And I'm glad because it embodies a lot of common sense. If you are a parent, everything in your life should revolve around your child or children. And if it doesn't, then guess what? Something is very wrong with you. So if a parent genuinely suspects predatory intent and continues enabling access because of financial benefit, that can become legally dangerous, even before any direct abuse is proven. This is one of those areas where facts matter enormously. Was the money a true no-strings donation? Was the child involved? Was contact encouraged? That's a key one when it comes to the live streaming parents, specifically the moms, because they often do put their children on the phone or on the video call or whatever it is with the donator. We've heard Blogger talking about that. We've heard a lot of the streamers talking about that, not just Brandon Q. Were there sexual communications? Did the parent know of prior accusations or conduct? Were images, messages, gifts, or travel involved? So I hope that many of you did record this particular stream. Maybe you had the chance to screen cap what I put on the screen. But that's about it. I would suggest perhaps taking a look at Brandon Q's channel for further information as to what this particular live stream revolves around. But that's about it. Keep in mind, everything is a blessing in disguise. It really is a shame that certain people are being unjustifiably labeled predators, pedophiles, and whatnot, but maybe it had to happen because there do seem to be a lot of mothers financially benefiting from slandering people who maybe did donate to them once, but don't want to donate to them anymore. Maybe they don't want anything to do with them anymore. And I think that those parents do need to realize that there are consequences for your actions. So have a great day. If you're a parent, make sure that you do prioritize your child above your online or offline social interactions, and realize that parenthood is a gift. It's a blessing. And when you don't appreciate it, God does see. Have a good night. Bye-bye.